After his stopover in Berlin, where he met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Prime Minister Modi will shortly arrive in Denmark. He will visit Denmark's capital Copenhagen as part of his three-day, three-nation tour of Europe. Prime Minister Modi's tour of Germany, Denmark and France comes in the backdrop of the raging Ukraine conflict that has united much of Europe against Moscow. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Denmark comes as a special invitation from his Danish counterpart, Mette Frederiksen. Notably, this will be the Prime Minister's first visit to Denmark, but his third summit-level interaction with Frederiksen. According to reports, the discussions between both leaders will primarily focus on bilaterals. Both sides will also discuss emerging regional and international issues concerning both countries. Prime Minister Modi and Frederiksen will later interact with the business leaders of both countries under the India-Denmark Business Forum. Now, along with holding key bilaterals with Danish leadership, Prime Minister Modi will also take part in the second edition of the India-Nordic Summit that is being hosted by Denmark this year. The summit, which will take place on the 4th of May, will bring in all the Nordic states on the same stage. The summit will focus on subjects like post-pandemic, economic recovery, climate change, innovation, technology and renewable energy. The Prime Minister is also scheduled to hold bilateral meetings with Nordic leaders on the sidelines of the summit to review the progress in India's relations with them. The summit comes at a time when India continues to strengthen ties with all the Nordic nations, including Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland and Iceland, and have reported increased trade with India in recent years, and along with a spreading Indian diaspora. Prime Minister Modi's three-day, three-nation tour marks his first foreign visit this year. This trip will see him holding 25 meetings with 8 world leaders, around 50 global business moguls, and hundreds of Indian diaspora members, all in a span of just 65 hours. Let's talk about this visit. Our principal diplomatic correspondent, Sidhan Sibal, is joining us live from Copenhagen. Good to see you, Sidhan Sibal. Prime Minister Modi has begun his second leg of the trip in Europe. What is expected and on the agenda of his Denmark entry today?
Well, the Prime Minister will be staying the longest here in Copenhagen during his three-country visit. And here in Copenhagen, there will be the bilateral component, which we saw in Berlin as well. Then, of course, the diaspora component, which again we saw in Berlin. But what is different is the multilateral component, because Copenhagen is going to host the second India-Nordic Summit that's going to take place tomorrow. And leaders of the 5 Nordic countries are going to participate in this summit, the first of which took place in Stockholm way back in April of 2018. On the table will be clean energy, clean technology, renewable resources, because remember, these countries, these 5 countries, are technologically in terms of energy are very advanced, and they are very keen that they would like to share the technology with the countries like India, which are keen to, of course, not only meet their Glasgow climate targets, but also keen to move towards an energy transition as well, a green energy transition. But if we talk about the Denmark-India relationship, in fact, I was reading the newspapers today, and the Copenhagen Post has a full picture of the Indian Prime Minister and the Denmark Prime Minister together. And other newspapers have also talked about the visit as well. So there is quite enthusiasm here on the ground when it comes to Prime Minister's visit, the Indian Prime Minister visiting Denmark. And also we have seen high level engagement between the two countries. In fact, both the Indian and the Denmark Prime Minister had a virtual summit in which a green strategic partnership was announced. And last year we know that the Denmark Prime Minister was in India, and she was the first world leader, the first head of government to be in Delhi after a long gap because of the COVID pandemic. There were no incoming visits that were taking place. So the last visit before her was the visit of Myanmar President and Donald Trump way back in February 2019. So Denmark essentially starting and making sure that Delhi gets busy again because of the COVID pandemic. We saw very less visits. So largely India-Denmark relationship, something which have seen a boom of sorts in last few years, and perhaps the relationship between the two countries can form the main component of the relationship between India and the Nordics.
We are still waiting for the arrival of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Denmark, but thank you, Sidhan Sibal, for that update at this hour. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.